All right. Welcome to Queen's Court Conversations, everyone. This is our South by Southwest edition. This is your host for this special edition, Clay D, the charismatic communicator. And I am joined here today by the wonderful Dr. Leah Turner. How you doing today, Leah?
I'm so well. Thank you for asking.
Absolutely. It's great to have you here. It's great to have you here on the show, Leah, even though this couldn't be in Austin directly at this time, but we're still glad to have you here. So just overall, Leah, just from when we first met at Afrotech going several months back, just really impressed with your story and everything, just about your presence in Austin, especially as a Black professional navigating those spaces and all. But, just for the sake of for the show and this special edition here, could you just share to our audience who Leah Turner is and what you're about and what you represent?
Yeah, sure. So when you ask that question, I have multiple identities that I want to share. I'm a mom, and I'm also a first generation student athlete, and I'm also a homeowner, and I'm also a proud Black woman. But in my professional life, I'm the director for GeoSTEM career exploration and workforce development at the University of Texas at Austin, Jackson School of Geosciences. So in my position, it's a bit twofold. So I'm a research scientist. I work with and outside of the actual sciences, the physical sciences of geoscience, I am a social scientist. So I partner with a lot of the geoscientists on campus for their broader impacts initiatives. So I am able to collaborate with them and introduce them to my program, which is called GeoFORCE Texas, and that's the youth outreach program at the University of Texas Jackson School of Geosciences. It's incredible. So we support. Last year, we supported 460 students, and we took them on incredible field experiences. So it's a program where once you're in, and you get four 1 week experiences each year of your rising next year of your high school. So for 4 years, you get to go to the Texas Gulf Coast, the American Southwest, Pacific Northwest, and then we do small, short research projects with those research scientists on campus for their 12th grade. So they get to move in. It's all about identifying and developing the next generation of leadership in STEM. A lot of our students go into geosciences, which is exciting and incredible because there's a national statistic that the National Center of Educational Statistics reports that 0.2% of all students entering college actually choose that major. It's a very short major, or a small major, excuse me. And then also it's a legacy major. So my dad did it, or my grandfather was an engineer or a geoscientist. And so it's something that not a lot of students know about. Only 2 states in the country actually have a requirement for earth science as they finish high school. So it's a very important program, and I'm so proud and honored to be a part of it.
That's wonderful work that you do there for sure.
Thanks.
Now, your work at UT Austin does focus on GeoSTEM career exploration and workforce development, aligning with the innovative spirit of South by Southwest EDU, obviously, which is a major programming within South by Southwest in general. How do you see initiatives like GeoForce Texas contributing to the themes of personalized learning and entrepreneurship, especially with this current generation? How do you manage to get all that to contribute to that to be a great success?
Yeah, thanks for that question. I think it's really important. So, we are seeing a large majority of students who are finishing college now without unemployed or underemployed. And it's actually a piece of a pitch. I can kind of let you into a piece of a pitch that you'll be hearing next on Sunday at the Future of Work pitch contest. So please attend that. My girl Jen Williams is going to be pitching her diverse work, and we're really excited for her. But another one of the pitches, which I'm really excited for you all to hear, is about how students finishing college are just underemployed and unemployed, essentially. And so it's so important for programs like GeoForce Texas and other youth outreach programs, and even undergraduate research programs or experiential learning while you're in undergrad, to get that hands-on experience, even if, or just to get your creative and innovative energy flowing, right? So when you talk about entrepreneurial spirit, that is a researcher. you absolutely have to have an entrepreneurial spirit if you are a researcher. It's the question asking, it's the problem solving, it's the filling in the gap that's going to make you the most impactful and the most successful in those endeavors. And so where I see GeoForce Texas and other youth programs kind of playing a really impactful part is that we are providing that kind of first line of defense against the lack of experiential learning or the lack of research or the lack of accessibility through mentorship. And so if you have those people who are on your side who can offer you those opportunities, you will be one step ahead of the competition in achieving those internships as undergraduates and then getting employed as you finish.
That's definitely wonderful for sure. Just overall, obviously, you just mentioned about this pitch that you're contributing to. How do you believe, reflecting your commitment to fostering global initiatives in education, how do you believe events like South by Southwest or South by Southwest EDU contribute to creating more inclusive learning environments that you can detail as much as you can?
We have to learn from one another. And
Mhm.
it's events like South by Southwest where they have um, community meetups, like the Brazilian community meetup you were referencing, and there was one about South America meetup that I saw yesterday as I was passing through the Hilton. It's about bringing people together to learn from one another. Diversity is not just in race. It's not just in, race, ethnicity, gender. It's in diversity of thought. It's in diversity of culture, and you'll find that in culture, right? And differences of culture. And so events like South by Southwest, where they bring intentionally individuals and participants from all over the world to one place in Austin to really be like, you know, in a big think tank and thought leaders. It's incredible. And that's exactly where the progression needs to lie, in those really diverse spaces. That's when we're going to get the most impact.
Wow. You're absolutely right about that, Lee, for sure. And how long have you served in your current capacity over at UT Austin with this program?
Yeah, so I've been with University of Texas at Austin for just over 5 years now, 5 years and maybe 3 months or so. I transitioned to this position from athletics. Actually, I worked at Texas A&M University.
Wow, that's great. So, just overall, you just mentioned that. Uh, Now, just looking back into your background and everything, you have an extensive experience in higher ed and career development, spanning across various roles, including academic mentorship, career counseling, and program direction. So, just going back to your experiences, even with Texas A&M, how have these diverse experiences shaped your approach to supporting underrepresented student populations, particularly in STEM fields?
Yeah, it kind of references my last comment in diversity of thought. Uh, I have heard individuals, I mean, scream from the rooftop, make sure that you have a plan, stick to the plan, don't deviate from the plan. I think the opposite, the intersectionality of different disciplines and different fields as you're working through your early career stages is really important. So, for instance, I started in biology. So I'm a first generation student, right? And
Hmm.
in my really small town in Norwalk, Ohio, I had some role models who were police officers and nurses and pediatricians, um, doctors. I don't think I quite knew what a lawyer was yet because I never got in trouble. We didn't need
Yes.
one. But I was limited, and in those thoughts I was limited. And so when I went to college as an athlete, I went because I got a scholarship. I was so pumped to play. I played volleyball, and when I went for biology, and I was great. I was good. I got all A's and B's in all my classes, and graduated cum laude. But also Also, did I like it? Not really. Was I passionate about it? No. Was I inspired to take the MCAT and go on to medical school? Absolutely not. And it was because I had never really ventured out of what I thought was the one career that could make me a lot of money, because in my hometown it was the doctors that had two houses.
Yep.
And so and so the exploration of of just career paths is so important. Find when you're young, just things that you like. And so I moved on to a biotechnology degree. Again, it was free. I got a TA and an RA, as most people do. And then soon after that, I started working for that same institution. I graduated from West Virginia State University. It's a HBCU in Institute, West Virginia. Shout out to the Yellow Jackets. But I was there, and they needed someone to build camaraderie, reframe our brand, because we just didn't have a great brand. There were other institutions nearby that the community really rallied around, and we just weren't one of them. I was also challenged to do things like program development and advising and recruiting and youth outreach. And so it was one of the most exciting positions I was ever in. And
Wow.
I was a parasitologist before that, like working in the lab and all of these things. And I just found that I will never be able to be behind a screen. I can't be in a lab pipetting my way. And so it was through mentorship. Mentorship absolutely led me to that degree in higher education, and it just opened up the doors to all of the different fields I could potentially research. When you talk about higher education, we took classes on diversity and classes on organizational leadership and classes on the history of higher education. And then it became so clear to me why there's systemic racism. So clear to me why there's been this inequitable system of oppression that we have all been really working against. It's because that's the way that our education system was built. And so we have to unlearn those processes, and it's going to be all of us knowing multiple things. And so, do I think that a one, direct, streamlined career path could be for you? Absolutely, absolutely. But I also would say that my intersectional responsibilities in career development, in organizational leadership, in strategy, in program management, in professional development, in youth outreach, it's all really led me to where I am now. And I'm so much more of a creative professional because I've had all of those experiences.
Wow, that's definitely great. Now, just coming from a athletic background, as you mentioned, you were obviously a former student athlete. Your journey from being a student athlete to an assistant volleyball coach to your current roles in academia and workforce development is truly inspiring. Just as far as leveraging your experiences as a former athlete in your creative work, just what do you feel? What do you feel is important when you're advocating for diverse representation and equity today? What I mean by that specifically is we are in critical times now, especially in this country, and there's a lot of battles going on with the areas of race and such. But as far as just from your journey goes, if you were to drop any gems to former or present student athletes like yourself, or as such, present present student athletes like you once were, what gems do you have to drop as far as just finding that niche, even beyond your playing days? Because obviously more than 90% of former student athletes don't go pro. And I say that to say, just given where you are, obviously a very successful example of that. What gems do you just have to drop when it comes to just finding new areas? Because you just mentioned that you found your creative spark. But what gems do you have to drop for the youth today in that particular regard?
Yep. So, love this question. Use your platform. Use your platform. Use your platform. Use your platform. You are an elite individual if you are able to go to practice, go to athletic training, go to video, go to meet with your coaches, go to your one-on-ones, go to your team practices. It's and conditioning and all the other things, and then also put together a full load of coursework. You are an incredible person. And I really want to highlight that, because I don't know that a lot of people who are not athletes actually understand what that work looks like. And I did it at a Division II level, which is tough enough. And then you get to the Division I level, and regardless of the rigor of the actual program, the travel alone will take so much of your time. And so I think our football team left on a Wednesday, arrived on Thursday, had practice Thursday, Friday, and then was ready for a game on Saturday and traveled home Sunday, right? So you miss a half a week of school, and it takes so much tenacity.
Yeah.
So I would say that if you are, working, if you essentially you have two jobs and they are full time,
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard for yourself. But what I would say is capitalize off of the moments that are easy for you and use your platform to do it. NIL is real, it's alive, it's working for you, and you have to work for it. No matter if you are a Division I athlete, Division III athlete, NAIA, you could be a volleyball player, you could be a gymnast, you could be, a basketball player, a football player. It does not matter where you are in your career, just use it, because it's something that's live and real. And then the other thing is mentorship. You cannot do it alone. You will not do it alone. You can't do it alone. And so find those advocates that you have on campus that are really there for you, Athletics is a competitive, it's a competitive field inside and outside. It's competitive on the court, but it's also competitive in the office spaces, right? So
Yeah.
so there are definitely professionals who are battling for that next position, and where there are very few, it's a super competitive field. And so if that's something that you love to do, like I went into coaching right after I played, and that's what a lot of athletes will do. I absolutely think that you should kind of leverage your need be relationships with your counselors and your coaches, so that when you need to use those, they'll be there for you. So lean into that, lean into the mentorship, have those advocates on campus, but then also use your own skills and abilities to market yourself and brand yourself. Take that time, use your platform.
Wow. 100% correct there. Now, I did see your record books. I did see your name in the record books for Division II in volleyball. You were one of the best ever to play sport in Division II level. Is that true?
I wouldn't say the best ever to play at all. No, never. I was not. So let me correct the record in that no. But what my team and I accomplished at West Virginia State was unprecedented at the time. We went from like 14th out of 15 teams in the conference when I stepped on the court. To first in the conference, and then many times after that. My really awesome teammates and sisters, Taryn Haas was the first individual to be named the Player of the Year. We all, I guess, three of us. There were five freshmen, so three of us received all freshman honors our freshman year. So we were really doing it. I know I was in the record. I was on the record books in hitting percentage at some point in the nation, but that has nothing to do with how grateful we are to have been honored with Hall of Fame. Yeah, the three of us, Taryn Haas, David Kaltenecker. Taryn Haas was our setter, David Kaltenecker was our libero, and then I was an outside hitter, and we were all three named in different years as a part of the Athletics Hall of Fame at West Virginia State University. And so I'm super proud of that honor and grateful. We are the only, Taryn was first, I was second, and Dava was third, but we are the only volleyball players who are part of that really awesome group of athletes. And so we are honored, and it was a gift to play with them. It really was.
That's good. Hand clapping on that. Hand clap for that for sure. See, my research is very good now. So, but but Leah, what do you think of you mentioned NIL earlier and such. What do you think about those critics of it who say that NIL is destroying college athletics? It's ruining it. So what's your thought and reaction to that particular sentiment? And just what do you feel NIL has done, which you've already alluded to, but what are your overall thoughts on it and what can maybe be improved, or what thoughts you have to those critics out there who are just saying that it's just no good? Obviously, that's a little more aimed towards the sports, like the more major sports like football or basketball. It's as far as the NCAA goes, but it just seems like there's a lot of negativity from certain perspectives on it, to where some are even saying that the reason why Nick Saban left Alabama is because of NIL and such. So, just overall, what are your thoughts on that?
Yes, thank you. So I let's first clear the air. I am not an NIL expert. I've never worked in NIL. I have my own personal opinions about it, which I'll share now. Um, and kind of sprinkled with some facts. Uh, NIL, name, image, likeness. If you just separate those words and you think about them, that students will be paid for their name, they'll be paid for their image, and they'll be paid for their likeness. And if we think about, I mean, that's what it is. It's they're being paid for those three things. And um, if we think about the opposite, someone else being paid for your name, someone else being paid for your image, or someone else be paid for your likeness, I think it sets a clear line in what is appropriate and what's not. So it's my opinion that there is no doubt that an individual should be able to capitalize off of their name, image, likeness. I also believe that it would be inequitable and unfair if someone else capitalized from my name, my image, and my likeness. If we take into consideration, um, let's just say the media, because there are very few programs. I mean, I'm talking just football and just the big ones that actually generate revenue from ticket sales at the collegiate level. So it is a big expense to actually have athletics in general, without donors and without some of those extra funds. And so that's why there are donors. The reason they have donors is not because there's a football on a field. The reason that universities, colleges, and institutions of higher education have donors and media and any of that stuff is because of the work that student athletes put in on the field. It's not the Coliseum. It's not the tennis court. It's actually the students who are on the field doing that work. So if we break it all the way down into why there are funds, exchange of funds at all in athletics, it's because of the student athletes. It's because of their hard work. And if and NIL has let me just
Yeah,
break it all
sure.
down, right?
Mhm.
If you think that this type of money flow was not happening just because people didn't get caught, you are wrong. This type of money flow was happening. It's real. NCAA didn't catch all of it. And SMU probably got the worst of it, to be honest.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
right. But this type of money interaction or the exchange of these dollars happens all of the time, things that we don't really know about. and it's the black market of athletics, right? And so if you think that your institution, the one that you're an alma mater and and you're alumni of, didn't do this stuff, you're probably wrong. And so the idea of NIL coming into the mix and making it okay for students to capitalize and gain money back from all of their hard work. Yes, yes, that should be allowed. And yes, that should be supported. And who are we to monopolize and take all the money, want to keep the money for one place? Like that, what does that even sound like, right? So why aren't we sharing? The question really is, why wouldn't we want to support that? Um, why wouldn't we want to pay someone for their name and for their image and for
Yeah.
their likeness? Because I'm certain that you would want to be paid for your name, your image, and your likeness. And all of those Instagram people are really capitalizing. So why
Yeah.
shouldn't we?
For sure. Do you feel that, let's just say, if a particular team on any level, Division One, two, three, if they had their records vacated or certain honors or revoked, uh, case in point, famous example, Reggie Bush, the Heisman Trophy, or Michigan during the Fab Five era, do you feel that those should be reversed, just given that we all know that these things took place and such?
Clay, I don't know that I want to answer that. I think that there's good and bad to that, right?
Hmm.
Do you reverse a decision with a rule that was previously made? I don't know that you do, right? Based on, do I think it's super unfortunate? Yes, of course. Quite frankly, and I hope the NCAA doesn't come after me, but quite frankly, the more rules you place on, and the more governance you place on athletics in general, the more that you really need to make sure that you're setting up ways to track that. And so, if it's not a big deal now, then why was it ever a big deal then? Whose opinion was that? And so I can't say that they should, that their awards should be reinstated or that others should have been revoked. But what I can say is that it's really unfortunate that now we've taken a step back and realized, oh, it's okay for students to collect money off of their name, image, likeness, or other things. But back then it was an issue. Why? Who said that? Um, and who was trying to micromanage athletes in that way? Um, I think it's unfortunate. That's all I can say.
That's good enough for sure. Could you just imagine if we had NIL when we were kids? I mean, that that's all I'm going to say there on that. I'm just saying. Um, do you have a particular memorable success story, from your professional career, just recently, that highlights the impact of your work on underrepresented student populations, whether it's at UT Austin or whether it was at Texas A&M or even prior when you were in Ohio? Any ones that particularly stick out to you that you could share?
Yes, awesome. So thank you for that. Just recently, and recently as of yesterday, happy International Women's Day for all my ladies out there. Yesterday was International Women's Day. Heart Energy, who is the news and media outlet for energy, was were the facilitators of an incredible luncheon honoring 25 influential women in energy. There is always a pinnacle award each year that supports an individual who shows work in mentorship and supporting the next generation. And I was awarded that Pinnacle Award yesterday in front of 950 super fabulous and impactful, innovative creators in energy. So I had the true pleasure and honor of celebrating that with a couple tables of University of Texas at Austin leaders, some of our professional mentors, our corporate sponsors, alumni of the program who are now full-time in positions in energy. And I also got to celebrate with my two kiddos who are just really incredible. So shout out to Lily and Chandler for letting mommy, being okay with mommy answering emails in the grocery line and taking, phone calls on the way to gymnastics practice and carpool. So they're the best. But they got to see me earn that award. And that's probably like one of the highlights. The list of honorees that were recognized yesterday are CEOs and COOs and vice presidents at energy companies across the country. And so it was a true honor. So yes.
Well, congratulations to you on that. And how are your kids? If you don't mind my
Oh yes.
asking.
Yes, of course. So Chandler he's my fiery 11-year-old. He's getting ready to play baseball today. So we're getting ready to take him to
Cool.
do that. He's a baseball
Awesome.
player, loves football. Yeah, he thinks he's like the fastest kid in the world. And so I put him in track, and then he found out he maybe not. Humble him a little bit. So he's wonderful. He's so cool. It's just like his mom. And then my super confident, artistic daughter, Lily, is 9, and she just left this morning for Houston. She's in Sugar Land today, and she'll have a gymnastics competition at 2. So shout out to Lily. You got this, girl.
Wow, you certainly have a whole lot
Busy.
to be proud of. Yeah, you're busy. That's a good way of saying that as well. But uh, I'm sure they inspire you to keep going
Wow.
on certain days. Am I correct in saying that?
Oh, absolutely. They are so caring and kind and considerate of of working mom, right? I'm a single working mom, and just trying to keep it all together. And so the simple fact that, Lily can pack extra snacks and a Leo so that when I pick her up from her after school care, that she's ready to go to gymnastics. It's like, you're 9 years old.
Yeah.
So thoughtful and so just wonderful, right? So they really support mom. They go to work with me from time to time. Yeah, I'm completely and totally inspired by them. They're wonderful kiddos.
And have they, if I'm getting my timelines correct, have they always lived in Austin with you? I mean, basically, what I'm asking is that had they at least grown up in Texas for a good amount of time?
Yes, they have. So I had them both in Charleston, West Virginia. That's where I was living after I graduated with my undergrad degree. And so they were born in Charleston, West Virginia. And then when they were, I think, 3 and 5, maybe 3 and, oh man, Lily was little. 3 and 2, 2 and 3, 2 and 1. We moved, so that was 2015, to College Station, and that's when I worked at Texas A&M. I finished my Ph.D. and worked at Texas A&M, and then shortly after that, we were there for maybe 4 years, and then we moved to Austin. So they're Texas babies.
That's cute. That's cool. Now, as far as just them growing up in Texas, how has Austin and College Station, which is obviously close enough to Houston, how have those experiences been like for them as kids? That you're willing to share.
Wow. Thanks for that question, because now I get
Hmm.
to say it on camera for my mom, so she knows. So it's really great, right? So we were walking. I was renting when I first got here in Austin, and my mom and I were walking around the block, and we were talking about what I might do uh, as far as owning a home, and it's something that I definitely wanted. And she was like, "Oh, everything's just so expensive, and the taxes are so high." And then I remember just like taking a breath, and I was like, "Yeah, mom, it is. Um, but my kid is in lacrosse right now, and we never even knew what lacrosse was when I was in Ohio, right? Or
Right.
my children, when they're finished with their high school diplomas, they'll potentially have a whole half of a college degree because of their advanced work and coursework." And we didn't have a lot of that when I was growing up in the small town that I was living in Ohio. And so, in regards to the educational system, and the availability of resources for my children, in their academic career, I think it's academic and athletic career. I think that we're in the right spot, right? Look at all of the students. I mean, look at the University of Texas and Baylor and U of H and Texas State, Texas Southern, Houston Tillotson. They're all right here. Texas A&M. Like, they have a large majority of the really amazing institutions that they could go to, and hopefully a leg up on the competition when they finish. The other side of that is obviously the political side, and so I won't get too much into it, but it's unfortunate. I work at a public higher education institution, and although I genuinely love my job and the university, I think it's unfortunate the Senate Bill 17 that bans all work in diversity, equity, inclusion. I adhere to that kind of staple that doesn't express my own thoughts and feelings towards supporting DEI, because obviously that should happen. Well, in my opinion, but I'm concerned for them. Also, some of the laws and bills now with women's rights, and that's very scary having a daughter. And so there's good, bad, and evil
Yep.
in growing up in Texas. And I think that just starting early and sharing and educating my kiddos is what I am choosing to do as a mom. So yeah, I encourage everyone else to do the same.
Good advice. Good advice for sure. As far as just like with Austin itself, and I'm always more so speaking to just the climate. Obviously, it's a vibrant climate and such. Do you feel that there is a huge swath of gentrification that's really kind of just making it just hard in some regards for African American professionals to possibly thrive or succeed? And I'm asking that as both of us being black professionals ourselves there. And for someone who's considered, or who has always considered Austin as a place to relocate to, do you feel it's a good place for black professionals to obviously do business in, live and work in, or even play in, just beyond South by Southwest or Afrotech or any major event like that? And I say it because our demographics here are African Americans, 25 through 55. So we more so speak directly to those particular audiences.
Yes. So that was a complex kind of cohort of questions. So I'm going to kind of divvy it out. You said gentrification. There is, it's very sad here, as is gentrification everywhere. A clear example is just the East Side. Now, I don't have a long history of Austin before gentrification happened, but I can see what it's doing to the East Side communities, and it's frightening, and it's unfortunate. It's inequitable, because from the history that I've learned about just at UT, the Black community has been pushed around a couple different areas in Austin based off of the majority population's wants and needs, not the global majority, I might add. But from what I understand, the Black community used to be north, and then it traveled east. There's another place in between there, but it kind of finalized and rest in the east, on the east side of downtown. That's where you'll find Houston Tillotson, which is our HBCU. And so, although I don't know a lot about that community, because I've only been here for 5 years, what I can tell you about it now is that the gentrification and the chopping down of houses and rebuilding new, like, large houses, new homes. Um, it's just the dismantling this population that's been there for years and years and years. And the reason that gentrification, from my point of view, is so scary, um, it's basically nowhere to go because your taxes get really high, and then you can afford maybe the house is free, but you can't actually afford the taxes to live on the land, and then you're forced to sell a home, that you may not be able to replace. And so that either takes you out of home ownership, or it takes you to a suburb where they may or may not have busing and transportation to get back into the city for where you worked and lived and played for your entire life. And so in that regard, it's happening. It's here. Target is up. All of these restaurants, they're up, they're going. The east side, there's a street on the east side of, I guess it's East 6th, is already has bars and clubs, and it's bringing a lot of attention to that area. And is it good for the economy? Potentially. Is it terrible for the people who live there? Absolutely. And so how does that affect our professional lives? I think that strong communities drive, again, that creativity, that innovation, that entrepreneurial spirit. And without a really good area of growth in that culture and community, I think that when you dismantle something like that, I think that it's just going to be harder to see that in a professional. When you dismantle something like that, like a whole community, now you're just spreading that throughout Austin. And where Austin is becoming bigger, where do we find Black people? I don't know. I moved to Pflugerville, which is a suburb. That we have a population of Black people here. I specifically moved to Pflugerville because I wanted my kiddos to see Black people in the grocery store. I wanted them to go to school with different cultures and populations and ethnicities and races, and I wanted that for my kids. I need them to see that. So in that regard, yes, East Side is dismantled. It's not great for us professionally, but I do live in a really great community that I think celebrates diversity. And so if you're looking to move to Austin, Pflugerville's it, in my opinion.
Sounds good. We'll definitely do a deeper dive into that for sure. I had to say, Leah, you definitely answer every question that I have really in one fell swoop. So kudos to you on that,
Of
because
course.
yeah, you provide such a great wealth of knowledge on so many subject matters and such. And this is what my programming is all about. Just highlighting individuals like yourselves who do great things professionally in the community, personally, and all that. You're certainly, at least from my perspective, a good role model that's worth celebrating. Now, who are some of your personal role models, and who have served as your personal mentors? We kind of touched on it earlier, but if you could just say, from Leah Turner's perspective, who inspires you directly, and who has served as a great mentor to you, past or present?
Yeah. Thank you so much. So I'm going to categorize these into three areas: my family, my friends, and my professional mentors. And so starting with my family, obviously, my kiddos they inspire me every day. They really are. We hit on it a little bit, so I won't go too much into it, but I'm better because of them. I am better because of them. I would also say my mom, and although she lives in a really small community and she's a little small white lady, she may not understand all of my challenges and who I am and why I am the way that I am. um, she has done her absolute very best to put me in a position that's going to help me be the person that I want to be. And so, she may not understand a lot of things, and I do try to correct her. That's a bad idea. But I'll continue to be an advocate. But in the same vein, I mean, if you need to know how to bounce checkbook, written bounce checkbook and not check your Chase app, or American Express app. I mean, she's it. She can do it. If you need to know how to save the maximum amount of energy, she's it. She'll open up the oven to heat the house, and she'll run one appliance at a time and hang out our clothes. I mean, undergarments and all are getting hung out on the line in Norwalk, Ohio. And so, wow, she just really did a lot with not much, and I can't show more appreciation for that effort and that support.
That's great.
Um, yeah.
Great.
My friend and my partner in crime, I'd start with William Wyatt. He's so influential, and so he's in commercial real estate in Austin here, and he works with majority white male, and he does some really big projects, and it's just inspiring how he gets up every day and faces that type of community and still thrives and grows and just super smart and problem solves and just defies gravity in general. He's just incredible, and so shout out to him. My good friend, Nicole Brittenreicher. So talk about athlete. She was incredible. So she played middle at Kentucky. I think at some point she played for the USA team. She went overseas and played in Spain. And now she's just an incredible sport professional. She also has her own company. So shout out to the owners. And the next couple I'll share. They're just influential. But People Capital Company, she is a part of, and she's the founder of. And so she's a connector, she's a builder, she's a coach. She does that with grace and with humility and with so much knowledge. She is a fierce, just fierce in the HR and talent sourcing. She's worked in the NBA at one point, and so she inspires me every day. She's incredible. My other good friend that does similar work, Kareen Million, she lives in Atlanta, Georgia now. She was the co-founder of the Winning Edge Leadership Academy, and I met her at Texas A&M. She is now the founder and CEO of WRK. So it's talent sourcing and professional development in sport professions. And so she's all about sport business. If you are, a graduate, you're an athlete looking for work, please go see her. She's amazing. And then another friend who is in the pitch contest this South by Southwest. Her name is Jen Williams. She'll be presenting on Sunday, so make sure that you go check her out. I think we are on stage at 5:30, but check my information there. She is the co-founder and CEO of Diversed. It's an HR platform that actively collects feedback on DEI, and she's doing it with AI. And I think her platform is just insane. So check out her company. It's DIVERSD. She's wonderful. And then finally, my professional mentors. Shout out to Dr. Ramon Stewart, excuse me, he's at West Virginia Tech right now. Dr. Stewart found me when I think I mentored it for him or tutored for him when we were at my alma mater. He had also graduated from there, and he worked his way up to assistant vice provost. And when I was in that position, he took me by the hand and was like, "Hey, there's this degree that I got in higher education. You need to look into it if you still want to get your PhD in higher education." He's like, "You can study higher education as a like as a major." Like, I was like, "What? You mean I can study college? Like, I could do this work all the time? This is an option for me." He's like, "Yes, Leah." And so it's those people who in your life, like, will introduce you to those like it was groundbreaking. And not only did he introduce me to the program that I was later accepted into, but also shared, the SREB, Southern Region Educational Board. They put together, fellowships for underrepresented minorities, underrepresented marginalized communities and populations for in effort to build a professoriate in higher education that is of the global majority. And so they support Black and Brown students as they're pursuing their PhDs, and they pay for the whole thing. And then they also provide professional development. So without those programs, without those people, I wouldn't be who I am. And I appreciate you asking that question and me kind of really taking the time to share thanks for all of them.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure they will appreciate that a whole lot too. Now, what does the next year or two, what does the rest of 2024, 25 look like for Dr. Leah Turner and Leah Turner? I say that very specifically,
Thank you.
two different personas there. But
Yeah.
what does it look like to you? What do you have going on? What are your goals that you're willing to share here?
Love, love, love. So, got a lot of goals for this 2024. I've already started and accomplished a lot of them. So one is travel. I want to make sure that all of my professional development opportunities are really on a global scale. So I'll be attending a global DEI summit with some National Science Foundation to conclude my National Science Foundation project here in May. So I'm excited about that. Um, we have plans to what's the other big thing? Oh, sorry. So, and travel just in general, I'm taking my kids to Hawaii. So it's our first big kind of traveling experience, and we're leaving on Monday. So thanks for squeezing me in here. I also have another professional development opportunity set up for Portugal. It's going to be a little bit later in the year. But yeah, I'm really excited to attend INTED in TED. So we're excited about that as well. So that's my kind of international
Oh,
domestic
all right.
travel. The other thing is reading. And so I think that as a young woman, I was so caught up in reading textbooks that I lost a love for reading, right? I was in biology and chemistry and all these things, and it was overload. And so I lost a love for reading, and I recognized that there's a lot of good things in books, but I just wasn't able to sit down and actually get through one. Whether I was diagnosed with ADD or not, like I just couldn't do it. I also just kind of maybe trauma from my undergrad and grad degrees. Um,
Yeah.
but recently I found a love for audiobooks, and I've been killing it in the audiobooks. So
I was just about to recommend that. Hit them audiobooks up because
shout
I suffer
out
from the
to
same things that you
audiobooks.
do.
Shout out to audiobooks. And also what I'm hearing is like, don't go on Amazon, don't go on these big ones, but get Libby. So if you have a local library, you can
Mhm.
download the app Libby and attach that. Oh man, I'm learning all the things. And so anyway, I listen to that every day on my way to work and every day on my way back. Man, I listened to White Fragility just like a couple months ago, and I was just blown away. Man, recommend that book, White Fragility, by Dr.
Mm,
Robin. She's amazing.
mm.
And then,
Yeah.
yeah, right. So
We still have a few more minutes. I'm joking.
it was transformational. Wow, like that book. I will read 5 times over. Really, really cool. So I think that those are the majority of my goals. Professionally, I I really want to look for more opportunities to maximize my impact. I love the work that I'm doing right now as a research scientist, and working with. I love the social science aspect of what I do, and then that natural personal inquiry, and so that's kind of what I'm doing for a few research scientists. But yeah, I mean, the next steps for me professionally are unlimited. I've been here for 5 years, and I think that I've done a lot of good work, and I can continue to do that work. But I'm also completely open to other opportunities. And so, yeah, I am in a really good space, really good space. So thanks for asking.
Yeah, you definitely ain't leaving. You definitely ain't leaving Texas. I could be wrong, but I don't see it happening. but uh, but yeah, going back to the audiobook thing, I wanted to certainly add that what's funny is that people always say they love to read books, and the funny thing is, I love books, but the problem is that I have a whole bunch of books just sitting there collecting dust because I can't read them because of my ADHD and my dyslexia. So therefore, I finally realized that audiobooks are the way to go because if it was a whole music album or a whole movie or TV show or streaming show, whatever, I have no problem listening to it or even a podcast. Go figure. But so I realized that if these books are converted into audio formats or even visual formats, but more importantly, audio, I can consume it a lot more quicker and efficiently and effectively. So this little tidbit there and such.
Honestly,
Um,
Clay, this is inclusive learning. This is why we have to be the people who are leading these discussions in institutions and educational entities. Like, not everyone learns the same way. A book isn't a book to everyone. Sometimes a book is like a mountain. Like, I don't want to climb that mountain today. Um, I don't want to climb that mountain today. And so, yeah, wow. Yes, good, all good.
yeah, and even the more nervous thing is like every South by Southwest EDU session every year, and I've done this for like probably as long as they've been live streaming South by Southwest events. But I watch that on, I throw that on the YouTube like all the time, even all the sessions, and then I sometimes will have people say like, "Dang, you're still watching that? Like, why'd you watch something more fun?" I'm like, "This is what I like," because so it's
That's,
really funny. It's funny
you
because like
know, sorry.
yeah, you're
I
good.
was thinking about the and you had me thinking there. But the other thing that I would like to do professionally, we've talked about this quite a bit, is an LLC. I'm a sucker for strategy, and I'm a high level communicator, and it's something where I would love to build out an LLC that really supports the strategic management, communication, and implementation of plans, and with a frame of my research work, right? So understanding from the ground level what companies need and what they do, and the perception of actual employees, not just companies, but employees, because it's the people that make up the company. And I think so rarely is that done where people come in and put together focus groups and put together one-on-one interviews to collect information to then drive the strategic vision of the institution or the company or the corporation. And so it's something that I really want to do in the very near future. So if you need those services, look out for me.
The funny thing is, Lee, I actually thought you already had something like that in
No,
existence
I
already.
don't. Yep,
I
it's
seriously did. I
on the
honestly did.
horizon. It's on the horizon.
Oh, okay. Well, definitely get on that then. But that's about all the time that we have here today, Leah. Thank you very much for being a guest here on Queens Core Conversations, or South by Southwest edition, and tell folks how they could follow you and reach out to you if need be.
Yes. So I am a true lover and advocate of LinkedIn. Find me on LinkedIn. You'll see my name as it's written there, in the frame, but it's just Leah Turner. And yep, my picture will pop right up. Can't remember how my hair looks, but you can't miss me.
Yeah, pretty much the same as as you look now. But yeah, you
We'll
don't
connect
you
on
don't do
there, and
the.
then we can share contact information for sure. Thank you.
That's cool. Perfect. Yeah, you don't do the gram. You don't do Facebook. You don't do TikTok.
I I mean, I'm on Facebook, I'm on the gram. Typically push that towards like my personal, right? So I share
Yeah.
my kids on it. So if you're interested, yeah, sure. Very underscore Leah. Yeah, on Instagram. Facebook, I'm on there. Facebook, just my name. And you're welcome to use that as well. Twitter, I have not gone into. I'm so sorry. Twitter and TikTok, it's like a black hole for me. And I feel like I get so sucked in. And so I just don't.
Yeah. But thank you for definitely being here again. And yes, we'll definitely stay in touch for sure. Well, thank you again for being here.
Sounds good. Thanks so much, Clay. Thanks, viewers.